Washington Crossing the Delaware, Emanuel Leutze's masterpiece of American mythology. Welcome. Today we're looking at one of the most iconic paintings in American history, Washington Crossing the Delaware, created by the German-American artist Emanuel Leutze in 1851. This monumental oil painting, measuring nearly 4 meters wide, now hangs in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. And while it may look like a straightforward historical document, it is, in truth, one of the most carefully constructed myths in the history of Western art. Let's start with the man who made it. Emanuel Leutze was born in 1816 in Schwäbisch Gmünd, Germany, and emigrated to the United States as a child with his family. He grew up in Philadelphia, trained as a portrait painter, and later returned to Europe to study at the Düsseldorf Academy of Arts, one of the most prestigious art schools of the 19th century. It was there, in Düsseldorf, that he actually painted Washington Crossing the Delaware, not in America, but in Germany. Leutze was inspired by the liberal revolutions sweeping across Europe in 1848, and he saw in Washington's story a universal symbol of democratic courage and resistance against tyranny. The painting was meant to speak not just to Americans, but to freedom-seeking people everywhere. Now, let's look at the painting itself. The scene depicts the night of December 25th, 1776. General George Washington and his Continental Army are crossing the icy Delaware River in a desperate surprise attack against Hessian forces stationed at Trenton, New Jersey. It was a turning point in the Revolutionary War, a moment when the American cause was on the verge of total collapse. Washington stands at the prow of a small wooden boat, his left foot resting on the gunwale, his body tall and resolute against the stormy sky. He gazes forward into the darkness, seemingly unshaken by the chaos around him. Ice floes crowd the churning water. The men around him are exhausted, wrapped in ragged coats, some struggling with oars, some hunched against the bitter cold. An American flag, an early version with 13 stars, whips dramatically in the wind. In the background, more boats follow, barely visible through the frozen mist. The composition is deeply theatrical, almost cinematic. Leutze arranges the figures in a sweeping diagonal from lower left to upper right, drawing our eye irresistibly to Washington. Light breaks through the storm clouds directly behind him, a subtle but unmistakable symbol of divine providence, of hope cutting through darkness. This is not realistic reportage. This is visual mythology, carefully designed to inspire awe. And indeed, Leutze took considerable liberties with history. The real crossing likely happened in the dead of night, in much smaller, flatter Durham boats. Washington almost certainly did not stand upright in the bow. That would have been dangerously impractical in icy water. The flag shown in the painting may not have existed in its depicted form at the time. Historians have picked apart these details for decades. But here's the thing. None of that diminishes the painting's power, because Leutze was never really painting history. He was painting an idea. The idea of leadership under impossible circumstances. The idea that a cause worth fighting for demands sacrifice, courage, and an almost irrational refusal to give up. Look at the crew in the boat. They are remarkably diverse. Scholars have identified figures that could represent African American soldiers, Scottish Highlanders, indigenous scouts, and women disguised as men. Whether intentional or not, this crew mirrors the multicultural reality of Washington's actual army far more honestly than many paintings of the era. The revolution, Leutze seems to suggest, belonged to everyone. The painting became an immediate sensation when it arrived in the United States in 1851. Hundreds of thousands of people lined up to see it. During the Civil War, it was seen as a rallying symbol. During World War II, it became a touchstone of national identity. Pop artists, filmmakers, and satirists have reimagined it countless times, from Mel Brooks to The Simpsons, which is itself a testament to how deeply the image has burrowed into cultural consciousness. Emanuel Leutze spent the rest of his career in America, eventually completing a grand mural in the United States Capitol before his death in Washington, D.C. in 1868. He never painted anything quite as famous again. He didn't need to. With a single canvas, he had given a nation one of its most enduring self-images. Washington Crossing the Delaware is not a photograph. It is a prayer, painted in oils, stretched across 9 feet of canvas, and sent across an ocean to say, "Courage is possible, even in the darkest of crossings." Thank you for watching.